Have you ever found yourself setting goals to improve a certain area of your life, but for some reason you feel that these goals feel hard, they feel like a burden, and it's easier for you to give up instead of following up on these goals because they feel so hard, they feel like a burden for you? If that is your case, you might find yourself on the dark side of the outlier, the rebel archetype. So today we are going to see here how the rebel archetype creates self-sabotage. But before we go further, let me inform you that this is the 8th video of a series that we are making on how Carl Jung archetype creates self-sabotage. So today we are going to see how the rebel, how the outlier archetype creates self-sabotage. But before we even go further into this video, there is something that you must understand, like I always say, because this is the basic for you to have a better understanding of this video. And that is the definition, the understanding of archetype, right? So before we even see how the outlier archetype creates self-sabotage, you must understand what is an archetype. We've defined archetype as template of behavior, as model, as blueprint of behaviors. And they have been discovered by a guy named Carl Jung. He was a psychoanalyst. He has been doing research, doing studies about human behavior, human nature. And this is when he found out that there are certain behaviors, certain way of seeing things, certain desires, right? Certain potential of action, certain potential of behaviors that are common across various people, different societies. And he called these common, this potential common behavior archetype, right? So this is how we define archetype, which is a template, a blueprint, a potential blueprint of behavior. Now, since you know what is archetype, let us see here what is the outlier archetype. What is the rebel archetype? Before we even see the dark side of it, let us understand what is this pattern of behavior. Now, a good way for you to understand this pattern of behavior, this model of behavior, is by understanding when do we act from the rebel archetype? When do we behave from the outlier archetype? So a good way for us to understand the outlier archetype, the rebel archetype, is whenever that we found ourselves with this desire, with this urge to be free from a perceived authority. Now, this perceived authority could be a person, it could be the government, it could be a boss, it could be a rule, it could be a habit, it could be anything, right? So whenever that we found ourselves with this urge, with this desire to be free from a perceived authority, we are acting from the rebel archetype. Now, don't get me wrong, because the rebel archetype is a very good archetype. Like most archetypes, they are very good pattern of behaviors, right? Because they help us improve, right? They help us improve our life to be better and to have better results in our life. Now, that is the same thing as well for the rebel archetype because it helps us to improve. Thanks to the rebel energy, a lot of people had the courage to change the system, to change what other people consider as normal, to change what other people consider as natural, right? Things that other people would accept normally. But they see the opportunity to make it better. They see the opportunity to improve. And that is the importance of the rebel. And you have been using the rebel energy as well in your life in the past. So let's say that you found that you had certain habits, for example, in your personal life, that you had certain habit that you felt was controlling you. So let's say you were a smoker, right? And you felt that this habit, this addiction of smoking was destroying your life. So at a certain period, at a certain point of your life, you've decided to not let this addiction, you've decided to not let this habit, this bad habit, to control your life. So with the rebel energy, you've been able to change an addiction. You've been able to change a habit. And with the same thing, a person or a group of people acting from the rebel energy will have the courage, will have the desire, the urge to change the system, to change things that other people consider as normal and natural. Because you are able to see a better future, to see a better opportunity, to see an improvement that can be made. And all of us have used the rebel archetype in our life in the past. Like any other archetype, we've used them in the past. We've used them to improve our life. But the problem starts when we found ourselves in the dark side of this archetype, right? So you have used the rebel archetype to change habits in your life. You have used the rebel archetype to change and to improve your career, to improve your business, to improve your finances, your relationship. Because at a certain point of your life, you have found out that there were things in your life that must be changed, right? And as soon as you saw them, you act on it, right? Even though you feel that they were controlling you, but with the help of the outlier energy, you were able to change them. You were able to improve them. So that is all to show you that the rebel archetype, what we call the outlier archetype, even though a lot of people don't understand this energy because they think that this energy is always out of a group, right? They are always in isolation. But this archetype, this model of behavior, it helps us to grow, right? Because without them, there are a lot of change we have in the world, and there are a lot of change that you have in your life right now. Without the rebel energy, you are not able to do them, right? Because you will accept things as they are. But if you see the opportunity to change, if you see the opportunity to improve, and you use the rebel energy, you can change your life and the life of other people. So let me share with you 2 signs that you're acting from the dark side of the outlier archetype. Now, before I do so, let me inform you that we do have a free guide on the description that shows you the 4 levels of change, and you can see which level of change is keeping you stuck at the moment to create the desired change that you need. The first sign that you're acting from the dark side of the outlier archetype is the feeling that your goals, that your objective, the goals that you set yourself to achieve feels hard. They feel like a burden. They feel like woes, like laurels to you, right? And you feel that it's easier for you to give up instead of following up on your goals. That is one sign that you're acting from the dark side of the outlier archetype, right? Because these goals, these objectives that you have, they feels like this is someone imposing you, right? This is like someone is telling you, here's what to do. You have to create a budget. You have to create a diet. You have to do something. You have to do this. You have to do that. So whenever you found yourself that you can't follow up on your goals because they feel like a burden, they feel like rules that someone is imposing on you, and you can't follow up, it's easier for you to give up. You are acting from the dark side of the outlier archetype. A lot of people who has this archetype, which is the outlier archetype, as their primary archetype, experience this, right? Because they have goals for themselves. Let's say that they want to improve their finances, right? And they say, okay, I have to create a budget. Here's how I'm going to create the budget. Here is what I'm going to do. And later on, they feel like creating the budget, like following up on the budget, is harder because they feel like this budget is restricting them from their freedom. And because they have this feeling that creating this budget or following up on this budget feels like a burden, it feels hard. It feels like this budget is restricting them from their freedom to act. They prefer to give up instead of following up on their goals. So that is how a lot of people experience this dark side of the outlier archetype. Now, there's also a second sign that you're acting from the dark side of the outlier archetype, and that is the isolation. A lot of people whose primary archetype is the outlier archetype, they experience this feeling because they think that acquiring advices, acquiring help from other people that maybe are higher than them in a certain position or that has a certain experience in something, right? They think that acquiring advices, acquiring help from these people is like being their pet, right? It's like these people are restricting them from their freedom of thoughts, from the freedom of action. So they prefer to act in isolation instead of looking for advices, instead of taking advices from other people that has experiences on a certain area of life, or that has a certain knowledge, that has a certain advice that they could provide to them, right? So they prefer to act in isolation instead of taking advices from these people. People that maybe has certain experiences, that has certain knowledge, certain wisdom that they would like to share with them. But because their primary archetype is the outlier and they are acting from the dark side of it, they prefer to act in isolation. and not getting help from any of these people that they perceive as a certain authority that is restricting them from their freedom to think, from their freedom to act. And it's the same for habit as well. You'll see that a lot of people whose primary archetype is the outlier archetype, they are having a hard time to follow up on a certain habit. They are having a hard time to follow up on a new habit, on a new lifestyle that they're trying to create for themselves, right? Because this habit, they feel that this habit, this lifestyle is restricting them from their freedom to act, right, the way they want, and the freedom to think the way they want. And because of that, giving up feels easier than following up. And that's the reason you see a lot of people that are acting from the outlier archetype cannot achieve the goals that they set themselves to achieve. So these are the two signs that if you found yourself in this situation, in any of these situations, this feeling that your goal is a burden, this feeling that your new lifestyle that you're trying to create, the habits that you're trying to create, right? The routine you're trying to create. If you feel that they are like a burden for you, like they are restricting you from your freedom, right? They are restricting your freedom. You're acting from the dark side of the outlier archetype. And the second thing is isolation. Whenever you isolate yourself from people that could help you, that could provide you advices based on experiences, right? Or based on wisdom, but you prefer to act in isolation because you perceive these people as authority that are restricting you from your freedom, you're acting from the dark side of the outlier. And these signs create self-sabotage. And if you want to change any self-sabotaging behavior, be it the one we just mentioned or any other self-sabotaging behavior, be it perfectionism, right? Be it procrastination or the one we just mentioned, we do have a framework for that. And you'll find it on the guide that we have in the description below. We'll describe the framework for it. It's 5 steps that we use to stop any self-sabotaging behavior. And on the same free guide, you'll be able to see the 4 levels of change that can help you to create your desired change. And for those of you that would like to join us in our next live event, the link is also on the description below. You'll be able to join us. The video will be there as well. You'll be able to see on this event how you can change your mind, how you can change your behavior, your belief to create the desired change that you want, and also to stop any self-sabotaging behavior that are stopping you right now. So all the links are on the description below. You can go ahead and get the free guide we've talked about. You can go ahead and see the framework of Change Mastery, which is a framework of 5 steps to stop any self-sabotaging behavior and create the desired change. You'll be able to see the link so you can schedule your 30-minute call with us so you can discuss and create a personalized plan for you to stop your self-sabotaging behavior. We have a few slots available. You can go ahead and check it as well. And lastly, for those of you that would like to join us in our next live event, the link is also on the description below. You'll be able to learn how to reprogram yourself, how to reprogram your belief, your action, right? To create the desired change that you want and to stop your self-sabotaging behavior. That was all for today, and then I'll see you on the next video.